Chapter 1. My girlfriend sent me a text saying she wanted to get married and that I should propose at the company's annual party. I thought she was finally ready to marry me. Overjoyed, I held a bouquet of flowers and a diamond ring, ready to declare my love in front of the entire company. But then her scheming male assistant Simon suddenly rushed out and kicked me to the ground. "You shameless fool, just because you landed a 9-figure deal, you think you have the right to hit on my woman? Who do you think you are?" My girlfriend Victoria, who had always been a stickler for the rules, didn't defend me. Instead, citing my offense against her, she handed my project over to her assistant. For a moment, everyone looked at me with pity, expecting a dramatic protest. But I didn't cause a scene. I simply tossed my employee ID to Simon. "Ah, so you're the CEO's better half. My mistake. Consider the director position my wedding gift to you both." She still had no idea that the 9-figure project was one my father had practically forced on me. Now that I, the project lead, had resigned, not only would the deal fall through, but she would also face a massive debt for breach of contract due to the last-minute change in leadership. My colleagues heard this and rushed to talk some sense into me. "Old Lenny, don't be a fool. You knew Ms. Vance had a boyfriend, yet you still proposed. This is on you. Ms. Vance only took one project from you. She didn't even fire you. That's already merciful." Hearing this, it all clicked. I turned to look at my girlfriend, Victoria Vance. "So this was your real goal, wasn't it?" Victoria and I had been in a secret relationship for 7 years. Every time I brought up marriage, she would get evasive and brush it off. I'd been surprised to get her text yesterday. Normally at the office, she went to great lengths to avoid showing any connection to me. Forget favoritism, I was lucky if she didn't single me out for criticism. So why would she suddenly ask me to propose at the annual party? Now looking at her assistant Simon Shaw standing beside her, a smug, triumphant look on his face, I understood everything. The proposal was a sham. She just wanted an excuse to make it look like I'd messed up, so she could justifiably hand the project over to Simon and boost his career. I had to hand it to her. To advance Simon's career, she was willing to sacrifice our reputations and ruin the annual party. My pointed question, combined with the strange tension in the air, made everyone look back and forth between Victoria and me, sensing our relationship was more than just a typical boss-employee dynamic. Victoria noticed this too. She tapped the table 3 times, a sign of her displeasure, her voice icy. "Sincere, Lennox. Is that any way to speak to your boss? Everyone here saw what you did. Are you suggesting I've wronged you?" 3 taps on the desk. That was our secret signal. Whenever she did that, it was a warning that she was about to say something harsh to me to keep up appearances and that I should just bear with it. For 7 years, to protect her pride, I had swallowed my own, letting her treat me like a dog in public. If I hadn't just witnessed her blatant favoritism towards Simon, I might have endured it again. But why should I always be the one to suffer in silence while Simon could do whatever he wanted? All the pent-up emotions from the past years erupted in that moment. Just as I was about to slam the table and walk out, Simon suddenly produced a 1-carat diamond ring, knelt on one knee, and proposed to Victoria. "Vicky, I used all my savings to buy this ring for you. Even though it means I'll be eating instant noodles for a long time, I couldn't be happier. I just want to give you the best, because you deserve the best. Vicky, I love you. Will you marry me?" I could tell at a glance that it was a lab-grown diamond, worth about $300. If he'd caught a sale, maybe 50% less. Simon couldn't even bring himself to buy a slightly larger fake diamond. Yet Victoria's eyes welled up with emotion. She smiled and nodded, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. She even seemed to think Simon had overspent, and immediately transferred him $15,000 as compensation. Our colleagues shrieked with envy, cheering for their love story. I was the only one who couldn't smile. Victoria had always said that office romances were forbidden, especially between a boss and a subordinate. So every time I wanted to go public, she would shut me down, saying, "A boss has to lead by example." I had sacrificed my own happiness for her career and her ideals for 7 years. But now, just so she wouldn't embarrass Simon, she had publicly accepted his proposal. Watching them embrace, it finally dawned on me. All her reasons had been excuses. She just didn't love me. If you truly love someone, wouldn't you want them to propose to you in public, to give you that moment of happiness? I quietly put the 20-carat diamond ring back in my pocket. Simon saw it and sneered. "I don't even know what to say to you. You have the money to buy a few $100s worth of flowers, but you can't be bothered to buy a decent ring. Even a cheap silver ring would be better than that dollar store piece of junk you're holding." Wearing Simon's ring, Victoria looked at me, her eyes filled with disappointment. She seemed to be saying, "After 7 years together, how could you be so careless with me?" Even my colleagues were speechless at my actions, trying to reason with me in earnest tones. "Old Lenny, even if you can't afford a diamond ring, you could at least get a simple gold or silver one. How could you bring out something so cheap?" "Cheap?" I just smiled, saying nothing. They couldn't see that the ring in my hand was a flawless, natural diamond of the highest quality. The 20-carat stone alone was worth over $100 million, and it was the kind of thing money couldn't always buy. I had gone to great lengths to acquire it at auction because I loved her so much and wanted to give her the absolute best. But now I didn't want to give it to her anymore. Ignoring Simon's mockery, I pulled out a resignation form, quickly filled it out, and turned to leave. Victoria had never seen me like this before. She immediately ran after me, and once we were alone, she explained with forced patience. "All right, I know you were wrong today. I gave the project to Simon, but you'll still get your commission, so there's no real loss for you. I'll hold on to your resignation letter. I'll even give you a few days off to relax and have some fun." She looked at me, waiting for me to nod in agreement. But before I could reply, a call from Simon pulled her away. Watching her walk away, I took out my phone and called my dad. "Kill the project. I've quit." Chapter 2. On the other end of the line, my dad's voice was ecstatic. "Good, it's about time you came to your senses, giving up the life of a young master to go suffer with some woman." I listened to him ramble on for a bit before hanging up, a bitter smile on my face as I hailed a cab home. Growing up, because of my family's wealth, everyone who got close to me had an agenda. I hated that kind of phoniness, which is why I left home and went to college out of state. That's where I met Victoria. She started dating me without knowing anything about my background. I was always worried that revealing my identity would ruin our relationship, so I kept it a secret. When the company we founded started to take off, I was about to tell her the truth and propose. But she approached me first. She told me she was a very strong-willed woman and couldn't accept a partner who earned more than her. I was faced with two choices. The first was to break up, but we could remain friends. The second was to transfer my shares and authority to her, step down as a partner, and take a demotion to director. For love, I chose the latter. After that, Victoria's attitude towards me improved, and I became even more hesitant to reveal my true identity. Blinded by love, I never thought much of it back then. It was only now, stepping back and looking at the whole picture, that I realized her claim of being strong-willed might have been a lie. She just knew I was easy to manipulate, so she found an excuse to swindle me out of my assets. Once I realized she didn't love me, all of her strange behavior suddenly made perfect sense. When I got home, I was about to start packing my things when it hit me this was my house. If anyone was leaving, it should be her, so I stopped. I took out my phone, planning to have a serious talk with Victoria, but she sent me a message first. "Sorry, sincere. A last-minute work dinner came up. I can't have dinner with you tonight." I scrolled up. Our chat history was filled with similar messages. Before, after work, Victoria would often have dinner with me. But ever since Simon showed up, her events had become more frequent. She was often out early and back late, and the house grew colder and emptier. But that wasn't what I was focused on. Knowing she wouldn't be back for a while, I didn't bother waiting up. After washing up, I was just about to go to sleep when my phone started buzzing nonstop. I opened it and saw that Simon had posted a video in the work group chat. The video showed Victoria at a dinner table, enthusiastically taking drinks for him. Simon had captioned it with a cheerful message, the sound of a noisy party in the background. Miss Vance, you took another one for me today. You're such a great boss. Everyone in the chat was green with envy. But only I knew that Victoria had a severe stomach condition and couldn't touch alcohol. I had spent countless hours researching recipes and brewing herbal medicines to help her stomach, but it never seemed to get better. I thought the treatments weren't working and was still asking around for specialists. I never imagined that the real reason was that she was secretly drinking on Simon's behalf behind my back. Victoria, completely unconcerned about her health, cheerfully replied in the chat, "No need to thank me. It's what I should do as a boss." I didn't read any more of their back and forth. I just left the group, pulled the covers over my head, and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, my phone suddenly rang. I groggily answered it, only to hear Simon's voice on the other end. "Hey, Sincere. Vicky's had too much to drink. You need to come pick her up." I was instantly wide awake, but I had no intention of going, and even less of replying. I just hung up, buried my head in my pillow, and went back to sleep. I don't know how much time passed before my bedroom door was suddenly kicked open. The covers were ripped off me, and a blast of cold air shocked me awake again. I looked up and met Victoria's furious eyes. "Sincere Lennox, I was drunk. Why didn't you come get me? Is it because you never loved me at all?" Her immediate accusation baffled me. In the past, I was always worried about her safety, constantly asking about her plans and offering to pick her up, but she never appreciated it. Instead, she accused me of being controlling and embarrassing her in front of her friends. Now that I was giving her the freedom she wanted, she was accusing me of not loving her. It was ridiculous. I ignored her and reached for the blanket to go back to sleep. But Victoria snapped, snatching the blanket away and throwing it on the floor. "Sincere Lennox, are you done with your tantrum? You deliberately proposed at the annual party to embarrass me, and I didn't even say anything. What gives you the right to act like this?" I whipped my head around to face her. "Victoria, wasn't it you who sent me the message telling me to propose at the party? Why are you playing dumb now?" Victoria froze, her head turning towards Simon. I followed her gaze and saw Simon's face, deathly pale. Chapter 3. Seeing his reaction, we both understood at once. Simon was the one who sent that message. Remembering the humiliation I'd endured that day, I snorted. "Quite the little drama you directed. You're such a drama queen. It's a waste you're not in Hollywood." Simon bit his lip, looking aggrieved as if he were the real victim. Seeing him like this, Victoria's heart ached, and she immediately tried to smooth things over. "That's enough. Don't be so harsh. He was just—" I cut her off, finishing her sentence for her. "He was just young and didn't know any better. He did it for my own good. He's just a little headstrong. He didn't mean any harm. Anything else you'd like to add?" My flawless recitation of her usual lines left Victoria's face looking grim. I wasn't surprised I could say it so smoothly. Every time Simon caused trouble, Victoria would find all sorts of excuses to defend him. She enabled his mistakes time and again, endlessly forgiving him while forcing me to be the one who compromised. I was done with that life. "Victoria, let's break up," I said, my tone serious. Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Are you really going to break up over something so small?" Beside her, Simon started playing the victim again. "Sincere, it was just a joke. If you can't take one, I'll apologize, okay? But don't take it out on Vicky. She really loves you." Victoria, who had been about to argue with me, fell silent and looked at Simon with pity. "Why should you apologize? Don't demean yourself. If he wants to break up, then fine, I was already numb to it. All the rules and standards she applied to me never existed when it came to Simon. It was only after seeing what she was like when she truly loved someone that I realized she had never loved me at all. In fact, she didn't even show me the same empathy she would a stranger." Before I could say another word, Victoria looked at me with disappointment. "It's good that you brought it up yourself. I've been wanting to say this for a long time. Our statuses are different now. You stopped being worthy of me a long time ago. I only tolerated you because of what you did for me in the past. But now you're taking my kindness for granted, and I'm not going to put myself through this anymore. Get out of my house." Now Victoria grew more agitated as she spoke, trying to throw me out. I laughed coldly, not about to indulge her. This is my house. You're the one who needs to get out. Victoria stared at me, shocked, unable to believe such heartless words were coming from my mouth. Simon's face changed as well, and he immediately started scolding me. Sincere, I know it's not my place, but I can't stop myself from calling you out. You wasted 7 years of Vicky's youth, turned her into an old maid, and now you're just going to kick her to the curb? You have no conscience. You're a good for nothing. They knew the truth better than anyone. But after Simon's speech, Victoria actually started to look wronged, forgetting that she was the one who had always refused to get married. She looked at me stubbornly, and through gritted teeth she said, "Fine, I'll move if I walk out this door today. There's no turning back for us." I watched her hands behind her back, making no move to leave. I knew she was waiting for me to apologize and beg her to stay, but I ignored her little games and started carrying her things outside myself. Victoria's eyes turned red with rage. She grabbed the matching porcelain dolls we had made together, our love token, and smashed them on the floor. "I don't want any of this junk." The couple figurines shattered into pieces. I nodded and threw our framed photo directly into the trash can. "You're right. Let's throw it all out." My action thoroughly enraged her. She pointed at me, her finger trembling with fury. "Sincere Lennox, you just wait. Not only am I going to fire you, but I'm going to blacklist you in the industry. And don't even think about getting a single cent from that project's commission." She had no idea that I didn't care about any of that. After I kicked them out, the world was finally quiet. A moment later, I received a notification on my phone. My resignation had been processed. Not only that, but Victoria was true to her word about blacklisting me. She spread rumors throughout our industry that I was preying on a female boss, and she maliciously edited a clip of my proposal at the annual party and posted it online. My private contact information was leaked. Soon my phone was blowing up. Chapter 4. Delusional Average. Joe. Just because he's good at his job, he thinks he can go after a gorgeous CEO? He should take a good look in the mirror, seriously forcing a marriage proposal at the annual party. Does a loser like him even deserve to try? The clothes on his back probably aren't worth more than $200. He's not even worthy of shining the CEO's shoes, yet he had the nerve to propose with a fake diamond. A tidal wave of insults washed over me. Some colleagues tried to defend me online, saying I wasn't usually like that, but their voices were quickly drowned out by the chorus of hate. I didn't argue online. Instead, the next day, I arrived at the company with my legal team. When Victoria saw me, she assumed I was there to admit I was wrong and sneered. "Weren't you all high and mighty yesterday, here to beg for forgiveness today?" Simon, fiddling with the director's ID badge, looked at me smugly. "I'll admit, your business skills are impressive. If you're willing to get on your knees and apologize to me, I'll let you stay on my team as a junior member. A chance to start over." Victoria smirked contemptuously. "You think he's worthy? The company needs someone to clean the toilets. If you need a job, you can beg me, and I might just grant it to you." They both burst into laughter. I remained silent, but the lawyer standing behind me stepped forward and warned them to watch their language. Victoria merely glanced at my legal team before doubling over with laughter. "Sincere Lennox, if you want your share of the project money, just say so. Did you really have to hire so many actors? You think putting some street punk in a suit and dyeing his hair black makes him a lawyer?" I smiled. "You think that project is still happening?" Victoria froze. "What do you mean?" I pulled out the contract and slapped it on the table. "Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Sincere Lennox, heir to the Lennox Group. Due to your unauthorized change of the project lead, we are officially terminating the contract." Simon snatched the contract, and without even looking at it, tore it to shreds. He contemptuously threw the pieces in my face. "There are a million people with the last name Lennox. Stop pretending you're the client and get lost." Victoria looked at my inexpensive clothes with an expression of pure disdain. "Cut the act. I could claim I'm the daughter of the world's richest man. Anyone can talk big. I suggest you focus on your work and stop wasting your time on these ridiculous schemes." Even the colleagues who had usually been on my side were now shaking their heads, thinking my stunt of pretending to be a rich heir was childish. Just as Victoria was about to have me thrown out, the receptionist rushed in, frantic. "Miss Vance, it's bad. The Lennox Group has just made an official public announcement. They're terminating our contract and demanding a tenfold penalty for the breach. They're also pursuing legal action for defamation against the Lennox heir, Sincere Lennox. The press has surrounded the building downstairs." Chapter 5. Victoria stared at me in disbelief. Thinking back on our 7 years together, she let out a derisive laugh, her eyes darting between me and the receptionist. "Sincere Lennox, you've really outdone yourself. You even managed to bribe the receptionist. I just don't get it. What do you possibly gain from staging this whole charade?" The receptionist froze, then frantically tried to explain. "Miss Vance, it's not like that." She wanted to say more, but Victoria cut her off. "That's enough. I treated you so well, and this is how you repay me? You're a traitor. Pack your things and get out. We don't keep ungrateful wretches in this company." Simon, never one to miss an opportunity, jumped in to insult me. "Sincere Lennox, just look at yourself. You reek of poverty. What gives you the nerve to pretend you're from a wealthy family?" The other colleagues were silent, but plenty of sycophants joined Simon in kicking me while I was down. Exactly, he was too cheap to even buy a decent ring for a proposal, and now he's acting like some big shot. I ignored their taunts and turned to leave. The receptionist was now in tears. "Miss Vance, just open your phone and look, you'll see. Why would I lie about something like this?" Her words made everyone pause. They realized she had a point and, one by one, they all pulled out their phones. While there were still plenty of hateful comments about me, the tide had turned. Several new headlines were trending. "Shocking. Man from failed proposal is none other than the Lennox Group's heir. Lennox Group terminates contract. Victoria Vance faces $1 billion penalty. Who is the woman who rejected the Lennox heir's proposal?" As the headlines popped up, everyone stood frozen in place. Even Simon couldn't help but swallow hard. "No way, Vicky. He's really a rich kid?" Victoria was also lost in a daze. In the 7 years they had been together, I had never once displayed any signs of wealth. My clothes and food were always ordinary. I never chased luxury goods. My most valuable asset had been the large house in the city. With no time to process why, Victoria immediately ran after me, but I had already taken the elevator down. By the time she reached the ground floor, she only caught a glimpse of me. "Sincere Lennox, She was about to say something, but suddenly a swarm of reporters rushed forward, surrounding her. "Ms. Vance, were you aware of Sincere Lennox's identity as a wealthy heir? We've heard that the diamond ring Sincere Lennox used to propose is worth over $100 million and is practically priceless. Yet you chose another man's 1-carat ring. It must be true love." Hearing this, Victoria's heart felt like it was bleeding. At the time, everyone, including her, had assumed the ring was a fake. Now, the thought of it made her want to slap herself. She saw my back as I was escorted away by my lawyers. She wanted to chase after me, but was completely blocked by the wall of reporters. Chapter 6. The story exploded online. Before, when people didn't know who I was, they thought I was a toad trying to eat swan meat and mocked me relentlessly. Now that my true identity was out, public opinion flipped instantly. Everyone was cursing Victoria for being an ungrateful fool. I sat in the car, silently watching a live stream of Victoria being cornered by the press. Faced with the reporters' questions, Victoria didn't know what to say. Just then, accompanied by gasps from the reporters, the third person in this drama, Simon Shaw, made his entrance. Unsurprisingly, he was immediately surrounded as well. Simon looked at Victoria with concern. Facing the media's questions, he let out a long sigh and began to speak. "No matter what, I have to tell the truth and clear Miss Vance's name." Victoria whipped her head around to look at him. Her eyes filled with worry and reluctance. She was afraid that if Simon told the whole truth, he would be viciously attacked online. So gritting her teeth, she told a lie. "That's right. I knew from the beginning that Sincere Lennox was a wealthy heir. But is money the most important thing when choosing a partner? I will only be with someone because I love them. It has nothing to do with whether they're rich or not. Her words once again turned the tide of public opinion. Many people praised her integrity, admiring and supporting her. But only I knew she was just trying to protect Simon from taking the blame. I remembered a time I made a small mistake at work. All I needed was a little comfort from her. But she had been incredibly cold. Sincere Lennox, if you make a mistake, you own it. Don't make me lose respect for you. Later, she publicly pointed out my mistake at a company meeting and punished me harshly to make an example of me. After that, I worked diligently and cautiously, never giving her a reason to find fault. I thought she was like that with everyone, but for Simon, she broke all the rules. When Simon made a mistake, she would make excuses for him, saying he was young, new, or didn't know any better. Now, even when Simon himself was ready to confess, Victoria wouldn't let him, simply because she was afraid he would be attacked online. Yet when she threw me to the wolves, she hadn't worried about that at all. I shook my head. Love was a strange thing. It had made Victoria someone I no longer recognized. Just as I was lost in thought, the door to my house suddenly opened. Victoria had come in, with Simon in tow. Chapter 7. I suddenly remembered that after kicking them out yesterday, I had forgotten to change the password. Victoria looked like a mess, her hair disheveled. She looked at me resentfully. Sincere Lennox, we were together for 7 years. You kept this from me for so long, you have no idea how much I suffered. I gave her a strange look. Didn't you tell the media you knew my identity all along? My sarcastic remark left her embarrassed and unable to respond. She shot me a hateful glare. Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I mean. When I didn't reply, she changed her tune. Forget it. What's past is past. I won't hold it against you. Without waiting for my response, she acted as if nothing had happened, pulling Simon over to sit on the sofa. Seeing her pour tea for Simon, I knew she wasn't here to talk to me. I frowned and cut straight to the point. Didn't we break up? What are you doing back here? Victoria's hand paused as she was pouring the water. She looked up and glared at me, but this time, instead of yelling, her tone was merely reproachful. I was just joking, couldn't you tell? A joke? No wonder she thought it was a joke. After all, in our relationship, she had always been the one in control. Every time we had a disagreement, she would threaten to break up to force me to compromise. It was a tactic that never failed her because in the past I had loved her so much I was willing to give up anything for her. So she assumed this time was no different. But she forgot one thing. This time, I was the one who initiated the breakup. Victoria didn't take it seriously, assuming the matter was already resolved. She picked up a cake box from the floor. I was busy with work on your birthday and didn't have time to celebrate with you. I'm making it up to you today. This was her standard move. Whenever she made me angry, she would buy me food as a peace offering to smooth things over. In the past, I would always give in, thinking we had to move on and live our lives together. But now, I had no intention of giving her any face. I was about to cut her off. But Victoria was too quick. She had already opened the cake box. However, the cake had nothing to do with me. Written across the frosting was, "Happy 26th birthday, Simon Shaw." I suddenly remembered seeing Simon's resume. Today was his birthday. If it weren't for the drama I'd caused, Victoria would be celebrating with Simon right now. As Victoria was about to put candles on the cake, she saw the writing and panicked. She hastily tried to explain. The bakery staff must have made a mistake. I'll order a new one right now. Simon, already resentful that his birthday celebration had been canceled, couldn't hold back his complaints when he saw Victoria on her phone ordering another cake. He muttered at me under his breath, "So picky. It's just a cake. What does it matter what kind it is?" I had a tough childhood. I didn't even know what a cake looked like. Victoria opened her mouth, about to try and persuade me as well. I held up a hand. "Both of you get out. I have no intention of celebrating a make-up birthday." Chapter 8. Victoria froze, thinking I was angry about the cake. She raised an eyebrow. I already told you the baker made a mistake. I've apologized and I'm ordering you a new one. Do you have to make such a big deal out of this? It was always like this. I'd say one thing, and she'd twist it into another. I didn't waste any more words on her. I simply carried their cake to the door and made a gesture for them to leave. Sincere Lennox, what are you doing? Can't we just talk this out? Victoria and Simon were still chattering away as I pushed them out and slammed the door, engaging the deadbolt. I could hear Victoria outside, still trying to open the door with the old password. Then I heard Simon's voice. Vicky, he's so ungrateful. You already took the initiative to apologize. What more does he want? Victoria tried the password a few more times, and when she realized the door really wouldn't open, she finally gave up. Don't worry, she said. He's just angry right now. He'll cool down in a bit. When Simon asked why she was so sure, Victoria laughed, sounding as if she knew me inside and out. If he had really given up, he would have gone back home by now. He wouldn't still be here. I listened as their voices faded into the distance. I had to smile. It seemed Victoria had misunderstood something. I wasn't staying here for her. I was here because my childhood friend, Lillian York, was coming to town for a business trip, and our parents had arranged for us to travel home together. That evening, Lillian's flight landed, and I drove to the airport to pick her up. It had been a while since we'd seen each other, so I suggested we grab dinner at a nearby restaurant to catch up and talk about our future plans. Lillian had her own successful career. I, on the other hand, was in a much more pitiful state. I had no choice but to go back and inherit the family business. Hearing this, she shot me a playful glare. We were laughing and chatting over our meal, completely forgetting how much online attention I'd recently received. A passerby recognized me and posted a video of us online. More and more people started gathering nearby, but thankfully, no one disturbed us. That is, until Victoria, having tracked us down, found the restaurant. The moment she saw me laughing with Lillian, she was consumed by rage. She stormed over to our table. Sincere Lennox, how could you be out having dinner with another woman behind my back? As luck would have it, a nearby influencer was live streaming and broadcast the entire scene. I noticed, but I didn't care. My conscience was clear. Facing Victoria's accusation, I sneered. Ms. Vance, didn't you tell everyone that I was the one pursuing you, and that you had already rejected me to my face? We have no relationship. On what grounds are you meddling in my affairs? Chapter 9. Victoria froze. In her anger, she hadn't even thought about that. The whole scene was being broadcast live, and online viewers were already questioning her hypocritical behavior. Not only that, but people in the restaurant started whispering among themselves. Didn't she say she wasn't interested in him? What gives her the right to act like his girlfriend now? Yeah, I heard she already accepted someone else's proposal. What's this all about? Don't tell me she's a two-timer, trying to have it both ways. Exactly 1 second she's saying she doesn't like Sincere Lennox, rich or poor, and the next she's trying to control who he eats dinner with. Lillian, thoroughly enjoying the show, decided to play along. She stood up, channeling the poise of a righteous wife from a TV drama, and addressed Victoria with elegant composure. You must be Miss Victoria Vance. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Sincere Lennox's legally wedded wife. You may call me Mrs. Lennox. I don't care what he does when he's out playing around, but for you to cause a scene in front of me, his actual wife. Don't you think that's a bit much? Hearing this, Victoria was completely stunned. Forgetting where she was, she looked at me in shock. Sincere Lennox, you were married this whole time and you hid it from me? You dated me for 7 years? You bastard, for 7 years you let me struggle alongside you even though your family was rich. Fine. But now you hid a whole marriage from me. Was anything about you ever real? Her series of questions made everything clear to the onlookers. Lillian looked at me with a grin. Sincere Lennox, I'd say I've helped you get your justice. When are you going to thank me? Hearing Lillian's words, Victoria finally realized she'd been played. She looked at the mocking expressions on the faces around her. Her anger boiled over. She pointed a trembling finger at me. Since when did you start playing these kinds of games? You won't rest until you've ruined me, will you? By now, as the truth spread, the online sentiment had completely turned against her. She was being universally condemned. When Victoria saw the comments, her eyes reddened, and she demanded I go online and explain. I ignored her. You reap what you sow. It was time for her to get a taste of what being targeted by an online mob felt like. Lillian and I finished our meal and were about to leave. Just as Victoria was about to follow us, the police arrived. Are you Miss Victoria Vance? You're a person of interest in an investigation concerning the spread of malicious rumors. Please come with us. Chapter 10. Victoria and Simon were both taken away by the police. After my childhood friend Lillian finished her work, we went home together. I took over the family business, and my days were consumed with work, so busy I barely had time to breathe. Under pressure, Victoria and Simon issued a public apology to the entire internet. Hello everyone, I am Victoria Vance. I am here to apologize for the rumors that have been circulating recently. Sincere Lennox and I were in a relationship for 7 years. The day of the proposal, it was Simon Shaw who took my phone and sent a message to Sincere telling him to propose in public. I was unaware of this, which is why I rejected him and took his project away. Afterwards, we spread inappropriate statements, misleading everyone into thinking he had ambushed me with a public proposal. We are deeply sorry for the negative impact this has had on everyone. With Victoria and Simon's apology, the whole truth was finally out. The two of them were instantly subjected to a vicious online backlash. Everyone could now see that while Victoria was with me, her heart had always been with Simon. Her two-timing behavior was met with widespread disgust. But before she could even begin to deal with the online mob, a new crisis began. The partnership with my company was officially terminated, and she was now liable for a 10-fold breach of contract penalty. Victoria couldn't understand. She pleaded with my representatives. Is Sincere Lennox doing this to target me personally? Please let me see him. I'll talk to him myself. I had no further contact with her. I handed the matter over to my legal team. The lead lawyer, the same one Victoria had mocked, pushed up his glasses and smiled. Miss Vance, if you would look at the facts, you'll see that your side violated the contract first by replacing the project lead. Our termination of the contract is perfectly legal and justified. Pay the compensation quietly. Otherwise, we are more than happy to discuss this in court. Victoria didn't want to pay, but she couldn't fight the law. Her company was on the verge of collapse. Remembering the kindness of my former colleagues, I offered to acquire the company. When I stepped through the company doors again, my colleagues had hung up banners welcoming me back. A colleague who had tried to reason with me before clapped me on the shoulder. Old Lenny, you and Miss Vance kept your secret well. I worked with you for 7 years and never saw a thing, but we all knew you had a crush on her. It was true. Love is a passionate thing. How could others not notice it? Unless, of course, there was never any love from her to begin with. Another person looked at me with a sigh of admiration. Sincere, I didn't understand what you were doing back then, but now we all get it. If I proposed to my girlfriend and she misunderstood me like that, I'd be furious too. I exchanged a few pleasantries with them. Although I had bought the company, I didn't have much time to manage it. I was really just back to see some old friends. As I was being escorted out, surrounded by well-wishers, I saw Victoria. She had nothing left. The moment she saw me, she rushed forward, her face ecstatic. Sincere, I've cut all ties with Simon. Can we get back together, please? I raised a hand, and my bodyguards immediately stepped forward to block her. I looked at her with a cold smile. Victoria, didn't you say you don't like men who earn more than you? What changed? You suddenly like them now? Victoria froze, remembering how she had tricked me out of my shares and money. She managed an awkward laugh. That was just me being young and foolish. I'm mature now. Can't you give me one more chance? My reply was ice. There will be no more chances. Victoria, goodbye forever. With that, I got into my luxury car and, ignoring her protests, drove away.